Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It's myself, George, and today I'm bringing you a very quick review on the new Benedict Cumberbatch film, The Electrical Life of Louis Wain. This is, of course, a comedy biography, they're saying on the internet. I don't really see it being a comedy, but certainly a biopic on the artist Louis Wain, an artist I knew nothing about until I saw this film for the first time this weekend, which is going to be a really interesting point of this conversation moving forward. But before I get into my thoughts on this film, as always, this is the first new review of 2022. We're obviously going to have new releases across the bigger films, the smaller films, everything in between, retrospectives, all that kind of stuff that's going to get announced maybe sooner than we think, maybe later than we think. Maybe there are things planned we don't even know about between us all yet. So do, of course, hit the subscribe button, comment your thoughts on this film, on your new releases, and even comment the type of films you'd like to see us cover this year, because it's hopefully going to be a very exciting year. Last year, we, of course, covered Bond, we covered Marvel, Spider-Man, Matrix, so many other things. And this year, there's some big films coming out, and maybe we'll work towards them. Maybe there'll be some things that pop up that we don't even know that we've thought about. So please do that. It does make a massive difference for us and what we're trying to do moving forward. And as always, this video has popped up out of the loose today. Do follow us on social media to find out about our videos, when they're going to go, when we're going to be announcing them. That is Twitter at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinema savvy. And of course, we have a link to TeePublic in that description below where you can get some tops. However, going back to the film, some people may be actually thinking, why is this being spoken about now? It came out months ago. It may have come out in America in September. I think it premiered at Venice, but it was on American Amazon Prime a couple of months ago. And hey, with the UK, it's always us that gets the films later, right? Even when it's about an actual, British artist set in Britain, British film, and we still have to wait till a couple of months after everybody else. So that's my initial thoughts on that kind of things. But no, really getting into the film now, being serious. This is directed by Will Sharp, who I was not familiar with until I checked his credits, and surprisingly, he's directed the new series on HBO that is about the murders that took place a couple of years ago in the UK. I think I've completely forgot the name of the series, but it is, of course, starring Olivia Colman and oh my god, how have I forgotten his name from Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban? David Thewlis. That's embarrassing. So I'm going to plug that. I've not even seen it, but I've heard really good stuff about it. And he's directed an episode of Sherlock before and a couple of other things. So Will Sharp's a very interesting director. This isn't his first film, but it very much looks like he's moving into that drama territory. And given how much I enjoyed this film as an instinct, I'm actually quite intrigued to see what he does do next. And of course, I've already mentioned his name a couple of times, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, reuniting, having covered an episode of Sherlock. And I must say, if I'm going to be blunt, the biggest draw to the film for me is Benedict Cumberbatch heading into it. As I said, I'm not much of an artist. That was one of the things I failed. I didn't even finish school by the time I found that was just dropped as soon as I could drop a subject. So art's never really been my forte. Cats, not a cat person. I've always had dogs. So, a film about an artist that draws cats isn't really my cup of tea, but I still wanted to go and check this out. And I did do that. And I actually had a really fun time with this. And again, Cumberbatch is the one, reviewed The Paradog a few months ago, and he's in the middle of his Oscar run. Is he going to get a win this year? He's probably got a nomination in the bag. I do think Will Smith's going to win it, though. But Cumberbatch's work is really starting to attract me into projects now, films that I might never thought about watching, this being one of them, seeing what he's been able to do. And, without getting too much into the acting, because I should really talk about the film, I think Cumberbatch is absolutely right at the top of the game. I know a lot of people have loved him for many years, and I think it just took me a little bit longer to really respect him the way a lot of people do. And this film's no whether, the fact he can balance up doing Marvel films, he's got Doctor Strange coming out soon, he's just a Spider-Man, and then he'll drop all these dramas as well. He isn't just sticking to these big projects. He likes to take on, films that mean something to him, and looking at the roles he is choosing. He chooses really fascinating roles that not everybody would want to do, and it's a really great way to bring in new people. I think The Imitation Game is a shining example of that. From a few years ago, that not many people would have known much about what happened in real life for that stuff, Alan Turing, and obviously, a lot of people are known now. There's been laws that have come into place, and again, just got nothing but respect for Cumberbatch, and in this film, no different. Louis Wain is a very interesting character. His very tragic lifestyle as well. But if you want somebody that can, you know, play this not ambiguous character, but this intense but awkward character. Cumberbatch has always been a good fit. I think awkward's a fair term that with Louis Wain, that the backstory is that he is sort of the head of his family. He's very much struggling, and he does fall in love and have to deal with grief, and that's essentially it. Being a biopic, it covers these important things and how that led to affect his art, what he did with his career from that point. And I think Cumberbatch is just really good at doing that. I know it sounds odd that he's always had the face for period features, but there's something about Cumberbatch in this film where it just clicks again, and he has this sort of quirkiness to him filled with sadness that I don't think many actors can actually do. And his actual performance physically in the face feels very different to what I've seen him in this year. Well, I say this year across what I've seen him in so far in the last couple of years. And I just think he's absolutely superb. And without him, this film isn't going to work. Yes, it's about Louis Wain, but if you don't have an actor that can bring in those kind of problems, this is a very troubled individual. I don't know all the ins and outs of the real life kind of stuff. I don't want to just quote off Wikipedia article, but there are stories, that people think he may have had schizophrenia. There's all this stuff, we see in this film. He covers art with both hands. He's drawing. He does these very quick drawing photos, and it's really interesting getting a bit of insight into this process as someone that isn't artistic in that sense. It's really interesting seeing how these artists, what inspires these pieces. And obviously, although I'm not a fan of cats, the culture of cats, all that art stuff, it's amazing that it does tread back to him. And what this film likes to reflect is at the time that cats weren't household pets like we have nowadays. I know it's not really something I've ever thought about until I watched this, and it was just really eerie to think about. This is only set in the late 1800s across into the early 1900s as well. And how much society has changed since then. I thought it was a really well directed, informative film to discuss that, and even off some of the smaller things like this film shot in 4:3. And not to get the IMAX debate going from last year that everyone did with Justice League, but I think sometimes when directors make these what's the place of saying, when directors choose to put something in a specific aspect ratio or frame, the question, you can question it at times. I think sometimes it's ridiculous, it's stupid. Sometimes it really benefits what you're seeing on screen. How are they framing scenes around the camera? And I think this falls into the latter stage of that this is shot in 4:3 aspect ratio, but with it being a period piece, it does feel like this is a case study from the era this is set. And obviously you didn't get films back then, of course, but with photography, all that kind of stuff that was slowly coming in, even like the mise en scene in this, it feels very claustrophobic. And I think when you've got a character that's going through these sort of personal issues that Louis Wain is, it's really interesting to see how they've shaped that with the cinematography. And that's something that I kept coming back to with this. And again, it's just nothing but praise for Benedict Cumberbatch. But with the direction from Will Sharp, everything sort of comes together and makes this film what it is. And with Louis Wain as a character, he's obviously you do like him, but you want to be on this journey with him, and you have to mention Emily, his wife, in this. That is an integral part of this film, played by Claire Foy, who many people, of course, know for playing the Queen in the earlier seasons of The Crown and many other things. But Claire Foy was superb in this. She's not in the film, she's very much a supporting actress. She's not in the film for too long. However, she has such an integral role, and her scenes with Benedict Cumberbatch really do help make this film. That if their relationship, their chemistry doesn't work with each other, then the rest of the film's going to fall flat on its face. You need to believe that they were a genuine couple, and you do get that. And I think that it can't be understated the importance of Claire Foy to this, and how integral she is for this film working. But also, again, Benedict Cumberbatch is one of the best actors working today, and he's going to get that with anybody he works with. If you get the chemistry right, you're going to be in for an absolute treat. And everyone he shares scenes with seems to absolutely work. We have like Taika Waititi that pops up from this. We've got Asim Chowdhury, obviously Woody G, that turns up in this film as well. Jamie Dimitri. We get a lot of Rich Lioardi comes in. A lot of comedians end up popping in for a small role, and it's not necessarily funny scenes, but it's always really interesting seeing these people interact with someone like a Cumberbatch, because some actors are so elitist not themselves, they wouldn't do anything like that. But with this one, it's really interesting seeing how he acts with all these different people, and how these actors that we know from other comedies and things fit into a period piece drama. And it's really enjoyable to see a lot of these people pop up for one scene. And I do, of course, have to mention Toby Jones, who has a supporting role as well. Toby Jones is solid in everything we see him in, and Andrea Risborough as well. She's absolutely fine in this film. Smaller roles, supporting roles, but they're integral to the movement of the plot, and the relationships that Louis Wain has with other people. So that's kind of me talking about the cast done. Obviously, I've mentioned about the cinematography and some of these things. I spoke about mise en scene. I don't normally speak about mise en scene with films, but you might have seen the trailers that there are scenes where everyone's been replaced by cats in their head, and out of context it might look ridiculous, but the way the film's shot, the way it's framed, and you're getting an insight into the mind of Louis Wain and how he thinks about things. It's really interesting seeing that the visions he sees and how that's reflected in his art. And I think it's a really fascinating insight into learning more about him. It's just something that made this one really enjoyable. These kind of dramas, period piece British dramas, a lot of them can fall by the wayside. You'll forget about most of them after the first time you see them. I think this is one that is very unnaturally charming. That not all of them are charming. You get some that, yeah, they're great, and you'll never see them again. Some, might backfire. Some might not even work. But very few, I think, have this rewatchability factor, and this one is right up there. I had an absolutely superb time watching this, and I think it's a very solid film. And sort of give my final thoughts, if I've not obviously throwing a bit of encouragement for people to watch this at home, or if you are in the UK and you can obviously see on Amazon Prime yet, but do go to the cinema, because this is a film I think was a very pleasant start to kick off the year. January is going to be a pretty dry month in terms of cinema releases. I'm going to be blunt, the 355 was out on Friday. Morbius has been delayed today as well. Scream's coming out, but there's not many things happening. Even the Oscar films aren't getting too much attention yet. So if you're in the mood to go to the cinema to check out a new release, then go and see this. I think you'll have a really good time watching it. It's a very nice film to watch, and I do think, I wouldn't say it's a family film, but this is the kind of film you could watch with other people, and I think they'll have a fun time watching as well. And it's quite damning as well. It's got real heart to it, and I think this is one of the few films where you can see that the love and respect the director has for what he's directing is really shown on screen, and it's left me really intrigued to see more from Will Sharp, because I do want to watch the drama that's just come out, which I'm going to finally correct myself, which is Landscapers. If anyone has seen those trailers, I'm very curious to see that as a whole now. But yeah, that's going to wrap up the very first review of 2022, I guess we can say. As I said, it's not a big film, it's not one of the major films, but it's one I really want to talk about, because I do think a lot of people will enjoy this when they see it. And it's been really nice seeing a lot of the reaction to people and talking about this film. So do comment your thoughts if you have seen this, if you're a fan of Cumberbatch, if you're curious about this film, do comment them. We obviously read and reply to all the comments. We've got some channel goals we're working on towards this year. So if you do like Benedict Cumberbatch, there's more stuff coming this year. Doctor Strange 2 is the obvious one, and I'm sure he'll pop up in a few other things that we don't know about. So do hit that subscribe button. We really do appreciate your support. And as I said, it's a new year. We've got some new goals we're working towards. We want to try and achieve them as best as we can. And of course, to everyone at home, a happy new year as well. We don't normally do that kind of stuff, but it's it's going to be an exciting year for film, and I really hope this has been the kickstart that we all get from it. And hopefully, by the end of the next month or two, we're not drowning in more postponements, but it is nice to actually get something that's not a blockbuster getting released at the cinema, and having people go and support it. So thank you all for watching at home. We'll be sure to see you on the next one, and take care.